Okay. I think
Okay,
it's good
well,
we
welcome.
should respect.
Welcome everybody to our Ambassador Workshop. Boris is going to be leading today. Our big theme for this month and next month is inclusion. So this is what our first workshop in this series. So Ambassador Boris, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you for co-hosting with me. And once again, I just want to say welcome. And Sarah has already introduced our theme for our workshop, which is inclusion. And in today's workshop, we have the following objectives. We will be differentiating between inclusion and exclusion in the classroom. We are also going to be analyzing where we are going to be sharing some professional behaviors and attitudes to ensure an inclusive teaching or classroom. And we're going to be comparing inclusive speech and behavior, which we have to promote in our classroom. So those are our objectives. And we are going to start right away. What is inclusion? Now, the word inclusion, remember that as Teach2030 and Commonwealth Education Trust, we are also guided by the SDG number 4, which talks about ensuring an inclusive and equitable education for everyone and making them lifelong learners. So you see that this topic, inclusion, is very vital. Now, it's a term, it's common use and practice in our classroom that ensures that it gives all individuals, regardless of their abilities, of their background, their religion, their race, their tribe, their culture, equal access to education and learning opportunities. That is what inclusion is all about. And to ensure inclusion in the classroom, we have to take note of these 3 principles, key principles. We have the first one, which is accessibility, and the second, which is participation, and the third, which is acceptance. We could have other principles, but these are the key principles. When we talk about accessibility, we're looking at the environment. We should adapt in a way that it meets all the needs of learners. Looking even at the structure of the school, is the school accessible? That's the first part of making learning inclusive. Is your school accessible? The second one is participation, and this is where the classroom comes in, where you have in your classroom learners of different abilities, different capabilities. You could equally have learners, special need learners in your classroom, but do they all have equal opportunity to learn? So every student should be encouraged to engage actively in classroom activity. No student should be left out. You shouldn't have some group of students where you say, oh, these are my bright students, and every time you go to class, you function only with those bright students and leave the slow learners on their own. No, we are saying that equal opportunity or classroom engagement should be ensured in the classroom for participation. And the last one is acceptance. You know, the first part of making students very comfortable, learning conducive, is to accept every person for who they are. So fostering a culture of respect and understanding among students is a way, or it's a principle that will ensure inclusion. So inclusion embodies all of this. We are also going to be looking at what then is the difference between inclusion and exclusion. Now, to re-emphasize, inclusion embodies diversity. And with diversity, you stand as a teacher, as a learner, or as an educator to recognize the values, the different values among students. And I think in this workshop, we are all teachers who face different kind of learners in class. Do we embrace diversity? It means that if you do that, you are promoting inclusion. We should also encourage participation. All students are given opportunities to contribute and participate. I think that's what most of us are doing, but we should do it more consciously. We should have do it as if that is a daily practice. Don't do it because some other factors are influencing you to do that. So we should give students equal opportunity to contribute. There is no dull child, as I may say. every child has something on which learning it can be a stepping stone to learning. Some are fast thinkers, some are slow. So we should always give them the opportunity to express themselves. In that case, that's what inclusion is all about. And when we look at the word exclusion, it's when a student is marginalized. You should, I think some of us may have equally have some experience of being excluded in certain lessons, being marginalized. Certain students may feel left out or unimportant. And all of this contributes, it all happens by the way the teachers approach the learners in the classroom. Limiting opportunities to learners is another way of excluding them. So excluded students miss out on valuable learning experiences and social interaction. You also, from your experience, confirm this particular aspect. When we limit students' opportunity, we make them become socially misfits. Some of them shy away. Some of them don't want to even participate in classroom, even when you try to tell them to talk. It is because we may have used certain languages or so we have behaved towards these learners in such a way that they feel excluded. Now, knowing the difference between inclusion and exclusion gives us a better way we can approach or behave in the classroom. Now, we are going to move to an area here. I would like us to really participate. I would like us to make our contribution. Now, what are some of the professional behaviors or attitudes that we can exhibit in a classroom to ensure or to promote inclusion? Now, when you look at the slides, we have put out a few. You may have some that you practice in your daily lessons, in the way you carry on your teaching every day, where we would like you to share them. But first of all, let us look at what I have put together for us. The importance of positive attitude. A positive mind can inspire students and create a nurturing environment. Educators should model inclusive behaviors and attitudes. The role of educators in promoting inclusion: be advocates for all students, understand and address the needs of diverse learners, and consciously seek professional development like what we are doing now, attending to workshops and then doing courses on Teach2030 platforms. And then strategies for professional development: attend workshops focused on inclusion and collaborate with colleagues to share the best practices and resources. Now, to those of us who are attending now, can you also share with us your experience on how you think we can promote inclusion in our classroom from what we have learned so far? So you can unmute your mics or raise up your hand and then say something. Anyone wants to share?
I'm going to start, Boris, if that's okay, because when I'm in my classroom, I think when I want to include everyone, I think about their learning abilities as well, because I think sometimes if you're approaching a piece of work, it might not be suitable for every ability in the classroom, so therefore you're unconsciously excluding some learners. So I think as teachers and educators, it's important to be very mindful of our learning abilities in the classroom and adapt our teaching to suit everybody. So therefore we are including everyone of every different learning ability in that room, and no one can experience a lesson where they feel quite excluded or where they feel a bit left out or unable to achieve. So I think adapting our teaching feeds in very closely to including everyone in this classroom. So that's my experience.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for mentioning the fact that adapting your teaching, and you can only successfully do that consciously if you know your learners, you know the age of your learners, you know what you're conscious about the time it has to take you to give that material and the content you're giving. So if you know your learners, knowing your learners is a first step in adapting whatever you want to teach them. So thank you very much, Sarah.
No
does
problem. Absolutely.
Does any other one have something to say? I see Fonji unmuting.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Um, yes, an attitude I've tried to develop in order to promote inclusiveness in my class is by promoting teamwork, like amongst my learners. I try to encourage collaborative effort or learning experiences such that my students can work together in different groups and respect one another's perspective. So that such everybody feel valuable in class and nobody feels left out. So just
Wonderful,
work.
exciting. Excellent there, 4G. Thank you very much. 4G is just also bringing a strategy for Asian, and it's about so that all of you and know. Do we have any other contribution? All right, you can speak, you can write us a message, send a text. Sarah, I think we can go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Now, mindful speech and behavior. You know, sometimes, dear colleagues, we use certain words in class and expression which will tend to exclude learners without us knowing. So by this time, we need to be very conscious about our speech and behavior in class. There is also an emphasis on the language to foster inclusion. And in one of our Teach 2030 courses, we talked about growth mindset. So if you introduce growth mindset languages in your classes, in your classroom, that's just a perfect way to ensure that you are fostering a language of inclusivity in your classroom. I think, I don't know, Sarah, you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really positive point about being very mindful of our speech and incorporating the growth mindset that you just mentioned, like our course represents. You've got a really good example on the slide, actually. Rather than telling someone that only top students can succeed or that only a few people's ideas are relevant, it's important to include everybody's ideas and ask everybody what their points of view are, what their thoughts and feelings are towards a topic that they're studying and they're discussing, because however minimal or however verbal and with many ideas, it doesn't matter because everybody's part of the learning environment, so everybody needs to be included, and it's for us to be professional and to include everybody, however minimal or whatever learning ability, whatever difference anybody may have, they're all left at the door effectively.
All right, thank you very much. The examples are already there. We
Sorry.
are going to look at encouraging respectful interaction. So we should be able to teach students to be able to listen and respect diverse opinion. You know, make students to always accommodate different learners. They should never see themselves very special or should be given special preference in class. In the classroom, try to make them all equal. They should also facilitate discussion that promotes understanding and empathy, just as Spongy did. If you do some group work, you're going to see that students are going to have more understanding and have empathy for one another. So these are a few speeches we should, mindful words and behaviors we should practice as educators, as teachers. And don't forget, professional development is what will keep us at the top. You know, there are so many of these positive language we can use and behaviors. We can only get them if we continue to be taking courses on Teach 2030. So as a recap of what we have learned today.
Can I sorry, Boris, before you go on, can I just say that linking into what you've just said about teaching students to listen actively and respect the diverse opinions, I think modeling as a teacher is extremely important because we're asking our students to do something, but I think it's important to show them how to do it by practicing it ourselves, being respectful of everybody that we come into contact with in our school environment, whether they're students that are a lot younger than us, or whether they're colleagues that come into our classroom. I think we really need to model our behavior. And I think my kind of motto that I go by is to treat everybody the way you want to be treated, whatever their age may be. And that helps me develop relationships in my classroom. And then that also helps me to help students be more successful, because if they feel respected, then they want to work harder for me. So I respect them and encourage them to respect me back. So it's a two-way process. So a professional attitude, including everybody and modeling how we would like our students to behave. I think that's a really strong teaching strategy.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And just to looking at the time, I don't know if someone has some behavior thing we can also learn from you that you use to promote inclusive learning. And while we are thinking on that, we have a few points for reflection. And I'm going to read through. The first one, reflect on your current beliefs and attitude about inclusion. How do you influence your how do they influence your teaching practices? Consider the accessibility of your classroom. What changes can you make to ensure that all students feel warmed and welcome? Analyze the language you use with students. Are you using inclusive language that promotes respect and understanding? Identify areas in inclusive education where you feel you could improve. What resources or training would help you grow in these areas? And then you should finally think about how you're currently engage students in classroom discussions. How can you encourage broader participation from all your students? I think these are just a few reflective points that we should consider after this short workshop. You should try to go through them and then see how you can do more research. If you need help, you can always write us in our forum, meet your colleagues, and share your ideas. So Sarah, we are wrapping up. Does anyone have anything to say and contribute to this workshop? You are free to unmute while we continue to encourage you to log in, invite your colleagues to log into our page. I will sign up to Teach 2030. We have new courses. Sarah will throw a few lights. We have new courses that have been put up in our platform. You're encouraged to go in and do part 1, and you always have your ambassadors to lead you into the part 2 of these courses. Sarah?
Absolutely, Boris. Thank you very much for your hosting today's workshop on inclusion. Like I said, that's our theme of the next couple of months, and we have a brand new course which will be launching soon, directly linked to inclusion. So all of our teaching tips, our blogs, our theme at the moment will be connected to inclusion in the classroom, making sure we involve every single student in our room. So has anybody got any contributions or any comments they would like to make before we close for today? Okay, well, Boris, I would like to thank you ever so much for hosting today's workshop. Thank you to all the guests who've joined us today. That's been wonderful to have you, and we will have this on record, so we will publish it again for you to watch if you should wish later on in the month. Feel free to contact us at Teach2030 anytime you want. Use our site to access our courses and more resources. Thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye for now.
Thank you.
Boris.
Thank you, everyone, for coming in. Thank you. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
I have a question. Where?
There's a question. Someone is
Okay.
coming with a question.
Yes, this is Sandra. I have
Hello,
a question.
Sandra.
Yes, Sandra,
Yes.
go on.
Yes, I have these hyperactive pupils in the class. He is in primary 1. He is 7 years in primary 1, and it is difficult for me to keep him seated in one place and teach with the others. he distracts and disturbs. So I don't know if you could advise me on how to handle him so that he can learn together with the others.
It sounds like he loses his attention very quickly. Sometimes it's good to build a relationship with students who are hyperactive by giving them roles of responsibility. So they feel like it's their job to perhaps hand out the pens or perhaps organise textbooks. So they feel quite self-important and that they're doing something really important for the whole group. So that could be a way to start with this student. Another way to deal with hyperactivity is to assess his learning level, his learning needs. Does he need his learning adapted to a different level so that his targets are maybe slightly lowered compared to other people's in the room? So he's reaching the same target but in a different way. Perhaps you may need to address his learning style and approach things from a different angle. Maybe he's a visual learner. What do you think?
Okay.
Has anybody else got any suggestions for Sandra? I think keeping activities short and pacey is important as well, so that because students are not very good at maintaining their concentration spans for a long period of time. So it's about
Okay.
changing activities, maybe moving students out of their seat. Sandra,
Yes, ma.
what
Yes.
do you think?
What do you think about what has been just said?
Yes, I've gotten it. I've gotten it. Thank you very much. I've gotten about 5 points, and I'm sure I'm going to implement them.
Lovely. I hope it helps. If you've got any other questions, feel free to email us at Teach2030 and we can give you some more detailed information as well.
All right, Dr. Sarah, I'll do that.
Lovely. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. Same here.
Okay, anybody else got any more questions or issues or challenges? Okay, well, in that case, I think we should close for today. Thank you, Boris, once again for hosting, and thank you, everybody, for
Pleasure.
joining. It's been lovely to have you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, 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 bye.